There is a specific kind of aging that has almost nothing to do with the number of years someone has lived and everything to do with whether they still have something worth waking up for. You have likely seen it yourself. Two people, the same age, sometimes within a few years of each other, and one of them carries a stillness in the eyes, a settled heaviness in the shoulders, while the other still moves through the world with something the Stoics would have called genuine vitality, a fire that has nothing to do with physical strength and everything to do with purpose. The difference, more often than not, is not genetics. It is what each of them chose to fill the years after the working world stopped demanding their attention. Today, we are going to walk through 10 specific pursuits, each one chosen not simply because it fills time pleasantly, but because each one embodies a genuine Stoic virtue, discipline, community, reason, or purpose, that the philosophy considered essential to a life well lived at any age, and especially in the years many people mistakenly treat as a slow winding down rather than what the Stoics would have called the most available chapter yet for genuine wisdom. Stay with me until the end, because the 10th pursuit on this list is the one Marcus Aurelius himself considered the actual foundation beneath all the others. Welcome back to Accent Stoic, the channel where ancient philosophy meets the battles of modern life. If you're new here, welcome, you've arrived at exactly the right moment. And if you've been here before, you already know what we do. We go into the meditations of Marcus Aurelius, the letters of Seneca, and the discourses of Epictetus, and we pull out what has survived 2,000 years because it actually works. If this is the kind of depth you're here for, hit subscribe now, because we go this deep every single week. The foundational principle: purpose is not optional at any age. Before we get into the 10 pursuits themselves, we need to address something the Stoics considered non-negotiable, and that modern culture, with its narrow focus on retirement as an extended vacation, has largely forgotten. Marcus Aurelius wrote that a person's happiness depends on the quality of their thoughts, not the quality of their circumstances. Applied specifically to the years after formal work ends, this principle becomes urgent rather than merely philosophical. Research in the field connecting psychology and physical health has repeatedly confirmed something the Stoics understood without any laboratory at all. A genuine sense of purpose correlates directly with lower levels of chronic inflammation, better sleep, stronger immune function, and measurably slower physical decline. Purpose, in other words, is not a nice philosophical accessory to a comfortable retirement. It is close to a physiological necessity. Seneca wrote extensively about the difference between leisure that restores a person and leisure that quietly hollows them out. He warned specifically against what he called idle retirement, time freed from obligation but filled with nothing that actually engages the mind or the character, noting that this kind of empty leisure often ages a person faster than genuine hard work ever did. Every one of the 10 pursuits in this video was chosen specifically because it resists this hollow version of retirement, replacing it with the kind of engaged, purposeful activity the Stoics considered essential to remaining, in the fullest sense, alive. Pursuit 1. Walking with intention, the peripatetic practice. We begin with something almost embarrassingly simple in description and remarkably deep in its actual philosophical roots. The ancient philosophical tradition of walking while thinking predates even the Stoics, but it was practiced extensively by Stoic philosophers as a discipline for clarifying the mind. Marcus Aurelius, even amid the demands of ruling an empire, valued unhurried movement through natural settings as a way of restoring perspective. There is something about the rhythm of walking, unhurried and without a specific destination beyond the walk itself, that allows thoughts to settle in a way that sitting still rarely accomplishes. For the retirement years specifically, walking offers something almost uniquely suited to this stage of life: genuine physical benefit combined with mental clarity, requiring no special equipment, no membership, and no particular athletic background to begin. The Stoic version of this practice is not simply walking for exercise, valuable as that is on its own. It is walking with a specific intention, a question to sit with, a difficult decision to turn over, a genuine appreciation for the physical world moving past you, transforming ordinary movement into the same kind of deliberate mental practice Marcus Aurelius valued 2,000 years ago. Pursuit 2. The daily written reflection. Seneca and Marcus Aurelius both practiced extensively and consistently a discipline that requires nothing more than a pen, a notebook, and a few honest minutes each day. The written reflection, examining the events of the day and your own conduct within them, not to judge yourself harshly, but to know yourself more clearly. For the retirement years, this practice carries a particular kind of value that's easy to overlook. Decades of accumulated experience, insight, and hard-won perspective exist inside every person who has lived long enough to reach this stage of life, and much of it has never actually been articulated, even to themselves. The discipline of daily written reflection gives this accumulated wisdom somewhere to go, not necessarily for publication or an audience. In the same private spirit, Marcus Aurelius wrote his own meditations, but simply as a genuine practice of ongoing self-examination that keeps the mind actively engaged rather than passively drifting through days that begin to blur together without it. Pursuit 3. Tending a garden as a daily practice in control. Epictetus built his entire philosophy around the distinction between what is and isn't within our control, and few ordinary activities teach this distinction as directly and as patiently as tending a garden. You can control the soil you prepare, the seeds you plant, the water and attention you provide. You cannot control the weather, certain pests, or the countless variables that ultimately determine whether a given season produces abundance or disappointment. A garden tended consistently over years becomes a daily, physical lesson in exactly the discipline the Stoics considered essential, full effort applied to what is genuinely yours to influence, combined with genuine acceptance of the outcomes that remain outside your control. There is also something the Stoics would have recognized immediately in the patient, cyclical nature of gardening itself, the practice of tending something today for a harvest that may not arrive for weeks or months, which trains precisely the kind of patient, long-term thinking that Stoic philosophy considered a mark of genuine wisdom. Pursuit 4. Returning to the classics, read slowly and deliberately. Seneca wrote to Lucilius about the value of returning repeatedly to a small number of genuinely excellent texts, engaging with them deeply rather than skimming widely and shallowly across an endless stream of new material. The retirement years offer something increasingly rare in a demanding working life: genuine, unhurried time to actually read deeply rather than merely consuming information quickly between other obligations. Returning to the philosophical texts themselves, the meditations of Marcus Aurelius, the letters of Seneca, the discourses of Epictetus, or to great literature more broadly, read slowly and with genuine reflection rather than as background noise, trains exactly the kind of sustained attention that keeps a mind sharp far longer than passive entertainment ever could. This is not simply a pleasant way to pass time. It is active mental exercise of precisely the kind cognitive research increasingly confirms protects against decline, dressed in the deeply satisfying form of genuine intellectual engagement. Pursuit 5. Voluntary physical discipline, adjusted for the body. You actually have the Stoics practiced what they called voluntary discomfort, deliberately choosing manageable physical challenges, not to punish the body, but to train the mind's relationship with difficulty itself. For the retirement years, this principle applies with an important adjustment. This is not about extreme physical feats or ignoring genuine limitations that come with age. It is about maintaining a genuine, consistent physical practice appropriately scaled to your actual body. Swimming, gentle strength training, cold exposure through a brief, cool shower, a hike slightly more demanding than yesterday's. Seneca believed that a person who has voluntarily faced manageable discomfort and survived it develops a cellular-level confidence that no amount of comfort alone can produce. Applied to the retirement years specifically, this kind of consistent, appropriately scaled physical discipline does something the Stoics would have valued immensely. It keeps a person in genuine relationship with their own physical capability, rather than allowing comfort and inactivity to quietly accelerate the very decline that discipline is capable of substantially slowing. Pursuit. 6. Learning something genuinely new, chosen for difficulty rather than ease. There is a specific Stoic argument for deliberately taking up something you are genuinely bad at, particularly in the years when most people have stopped doing this entirely. Epictetus taught that discomfort with not knowing something, the specific humility of being a beginner again, is itself a valuable philosophical practice, training the exact quality of open-minded curiosity that the Stoics considered essential to continued growth at any age. A musical instrument, a new language, a genuinely difficult craft, the specific choice matters far less than the deliberate decision to place yourself again in the position of a beginner, tolerating the awkwardness and slow progress that this position requires. This single choice does something remarkable for the mind attempting to remain vital through the retirement years. It keeps neural pathways actively engaged in ways that familiar, well-practiced activities simply cannot replicate, while simultaneously practicing the specific Stoic virtue of humility in the face of genuine difficulty. Pursuit. 7. Working with your hands on something tangible. Marcus Aurelius wrote about the value of a craft practiced with genuine attention and care, noting that the discipline required to do physical, hands-on work well mirrors the discipline required to live well more broadly. Woodworking, pottery, restoration of old furniture, any craft that produces a tangible, physical result through sustained, careful attention offers something increasingly rare in a world dominated by abstract, screen-based activity. There is a specific satisfaction, well understood by the Stoics, even without modern psychological research to confirm it, in seeing the direct, physical consequence of sustained attention and care. For the retirement years specifically, this kind of tangible craft work provides something a purely passive hobby cannot: genuine skill development that continues to deepen over years, along with the quiet satisfaction of producing something real, something that exists in the physical world as direct evidence of time well spent. Pursuit. 8. Mentoring someone younger, deliberately and regularly. Seneca's entire body of surviving letters exists because of a specific relationship. An older, more experienced man deliberately, consistently offering guidance to a younger friend, Lucilius, who was still working through many of life's harder questions. This exact relationship, mentorship offered deliberately and consistently, rather than only when asked, represents one of the most Stoic-aligned pursuits available specifically to someone who has accumulated decades of hard-won experience. The Stoics considered this kind of deliberate teaching a genuine expression of the virtue of justice, using what you have gained not simply for your own benefit, but in direct service of someone else's growth. For the retirement years, formal or informal mentorship, whether through structured programs or simply through consistent, intentional relationships with younger family members, colleagues, or community members, provides exactly the kind of ongoing purpose that research on aging and psychological well-being consistently identifies as protective against the specific kind of decline that comes from feeling that your accumulated wisdom no longer has anywhere useful to go. Pursuit. 9. Strategic games that train the reasoning mind. Chess and other strategic games requiring sustained, structured reasoning hold a particular value the Stoics would have recognized immediately, given how highly they valued logos, reason, the rational faculty they considered humanity's most defining and most divine attribute. A game requiring genuine strategic thought, played regularly and with real engagement rather than as idle distraction, keeps the reasoning faculty in active use in a way that passive entertainment simply does not. This is not about becoming a competitive player in any formal sense. It is about the deliberate, consistent exercise of structured thinking, weighing consequences several moves ahead, adjusting strategy based on new information, tolerating the discomfort of a position that isn't going as planned. Every one of these mental exercises mirrors, in miniature, precisely the kind of clear, structured reasoning the Stoics considered essential to living wisely more broadly, making a strategic game far more than simply a pleasant way to pass an afternoon. Pursuit 10. The practice that ties every other one together. Living with deliberate purpose. We've arrived at the final pursuit, the one I promised at the beginning that Marcus Aurelius himself considered the actual foundation beneath every other item on this list. Every pursuit we've covered: walking, writing, gardening, reading, physical discipline, learning something new, working with your hands, mentoring, strategic games, functions in some sense as a vehicle. A vehicle requires a destination, or it simply becomes motion without meaning. Marcus Aurelius returned constantly throughout his private writings to a single anchoring question that gave every other activity in his life its actual weight and direction. What is the most important thing I can do today in service of the greater good? This final pursuit asks you to identify your own version of this question specifically for the years ahead of you now. Not a return to the demands and obligations of a working career, but a genuine, deliberately chosen sense of what these years are actually for, what value you want to keep contributing, what version of yourself you're still becoming, what legacy of character, not merely possessions, you intend to leave behind. Without this final pursuit, the other 9 risk becoming simply an impressive-looking list of activities, performed without any genuine sense of why they matter. With it, walking becomes a genuine practice of clarity, writing becomes genuine self-examination, mentorship becomes a genuine expression of accumulated wisdom, finding its proper place in the world. This is the pursuit that makes every other one on this list actually matter, rather than simply filling time that would otherwise feel empty. Let's step back and look at what we've actually built today. 10 pursuits. Intentional walking, daily written reflection, tending a garden, returning to the classics, appropriately scaled physical discipline, deliberately learning something new, working with your hands, mentoring someone younger, strategic games that train reasoning, and finally, the deliberate cultivation of purpose that ties every other pursuit together. That together offer something the Stoics would have recognized immediately as a genuine formula for remaining, in the fullest sense, alive. Throughout the years, many people mistakenly treat as simply a slow winding down. None of these 10 pursuits require significant expense, extraordinary physical capability, or circumstances substantially different from what most people already have available to them. What they require is the same thing every genuine Stoic practice has always required: deliberate intention applied consistently rather than passive drifting through days that blur together without it. Marcus Aurelius did not consider vitality a function of age at all. He considered it a function of the quality of thought and purpose a person brought to whatever years they happened to have remaining at any stage of life. Here is your challenge for tonight, not 10 challenges, just one. Look honestly at the 10 pursuits we've covered and identify the single one that genuinely calls to you, the one you find yourself already imagining doing tomorrow. Not the one that sounds most impressive, the one that actually excites something in you. Begin there this week, even in a small, modest way, and notice what it does, over time, to the specific quality of vitality the Stoics considered available at any age, to anyone willing to bring genuine intention to the years they've been given. Marcus Aurelius did not build the depth and character we still study 2,000 years later through a single dramatic transformation. He built it through the accumulated weight of thousands of ordinary days, lived with consistent intention, regardless of the specific stage of life he happened to be in. That same practice, built one deliberately chosen pursuit at a time, is available to you starting today. If this video gave you something today, hit the like button. It costs nothing, and it tells us this kind of depth is exactly what you want more of. Leave a comment and tell me honestly, which of these 10 pursuits speaks to you the most right now? I read every comment on this channel, and I'll be down there with you. Subscribe to Accent Stoic if you haven't already. We go this deep every single week into philosophy that has survived 2,000 years because it was built for exactly the hardest, most ordinary moments of a real life at every single age. Until next time, stay grounded, stay purposeful, and remember what Marcus Aurelius told himself on the mornings the world felt heaviest. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength.